Hello, my name is Gloria Jones, and today I will be giving my speech outline on the importance of student loans. So without further ado, let's get into this outline. My topic for today will be concerning student loans. My general purpose will be to inform my audience on the importance of student loans, and my speech goal will be to educate my audience on why student loans can be very expensive and why students should understand what they're doing and what they're getting themselves into. By a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with student loans? Now, those of you that are watching, you may have a general idea of what a student loan is, or you may have had experience with a student loan, or let alone you may know someone who has had an experience with a student loan. From my viewpoint, I've had someone that I've known for a long time that has had an experience with student loans, and it did not turn out to be a great one. They often express that they wish they would have known a little bit more before considering that option, and that interest rates are a big deal, and that you can have low credit, bad credit, and it can lead to financial crisis. Some people may classify student loans as a helpful strategy or ethical strategy. They may tell you it's the best option you could ever do, but it is important to remember that not everyone's situation and their experience with student loans will be your experience with student loans. So it's very important to research and do as much information as you can. They may not tell you the cons, but they may tell you all the pros. So not having any type of indication can lead to serious financial problems. So now that we've discussed the concept of my topic, let's begin by identifying what student loans are. So student loans is a type of financial assistance that is designed to help students pay for school-related activities such as tuition, books, school, classes, just a general education. So while some loans are constructed to help students, others are for lower interest rates and borrower protection. Borrower protection is when you are protected when borrowing student loans, which is meaning you have a down payment and you have an idea of what to do and how to pay back the money. So if you're utilizing a student loan for a borrower protection, you should be aware that private loans do have a higher interest rate as one, and the estimation can be complicated by other factors, including the student loan borrowing. Majority of these loans are offered to students with a low interest rate. And as I've learned today, loans do not need to be repaid until you are finished and completed your education. This fact is from journals.uchicago.edu. So you do not need to pay back a student loan until you have completed your whole education. In 2005, approximately 30% of students had a balance of $13,000. And as of 2014, that 30% grew to 45%, and that $13,000 grew to $16,000. Now that we've discussed student loans, let's just take a look at the background and the mechanisms. The amount in which a student can borrow and access is always determined by Congress. At the end of the day, Congress has the final say-so on how much you can borrow and whether you're eligible for a student loan. This falls into whether you have good credit or bad credit, and whether you have a great history of repaying back any other loans you've ever borrowed. Student loans can inflict a financial burden on a few borrowers, even for the very first time, and I have 4 facts to back that up. All of these facts are from bankrate.com. 16% of recipients were in default in March 2017, despite their outstanding claim, meaning they did not pay back their student loan. Most borrowers are often really young, which can create difficulties. Again, not knowing the amount of that you want to take out, and also not knowing the background of student loans themselves. So if you're registered without a degree, you can be defaulted within the span of 2 years. And lastly, timely student loan deposits could help borrowers improve their credit. So if you're on borrower protection, 9 times out of 10, you are in good hands, because that means you have a plan and you know how you are going to pay back that student loan. Some factors that might influence student loan changes would be the DIT, which is the debt to income, which is meaning that it will help you ease throughout time. I got this fact from journals.uchicago.edu. So basically, this allows each person to accumulate for a down payment. So this makes you eligible to make a down payment on a student loan so that you have a general idea of how much you need to pay back. So the DIT, which is debt to income, it disappears right after your debt is repaid. So after you paid off your student loan, you no longer have to worry about that factor anymore. And lastly, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it forbids credit bureaus from reporting misconduct from a 7-year span. I also got this fact from bankrate.com. Now that I've given you the background of student loans, let me tell you guys why student loans may not be the best option for students and why they should think before they choose this option. Number one, the results and consequences can increase the effects of student debt. So this can increase a larger effect in student debt, whether you've had student debt before or whether you don't. This could be the beginning. Number two, student loans could affect home ownership, which is affecting you wanting to purchase a home, wanting to purchase a house. That can affect it if you do not pay back your student loan. Some facts for this would be increased balances could worsen credit scores. So your credit score could get worse if you do not pay back your student loan. So any knowledge of increased debt can lead to a demeaning effect. So if your debt has increased over the years, throughout the years, 9 times out of 10, it will be a little bit harder for you to pay back on a student loan if you already have other debts that you need to pay back. Lastly, the estimates of student loan specifications could implicit a vigorous effect, which is a really bad effect. Bad credit, bad financial assistance, everything in that order. Majority of these individuals assess the student loans. They only pay back a small amount. And I got this from journals.uchicago.edu, meaning that you can not only pay back a small amount of a student loan, you have to pay back the full amount after your education. Lastly, this could also further delay home ownership, as I mentioned earlier, and increase your credit difficulties. So this can cause rising incomes just from not paying back a simple student loan. It is also important to keep in mind how much you need to take out and how much you would need to put forth as a down payment. So now that I've told you about why students should not invest in student loans and why they should think twice, now let's head over to my conclusion. So student loans, characterized by every person in the world, may be helpful with financial assistance. It may help you, it may guide you, it may be the right path for you. But again, everyone's experience is not your experience. So it is very important to be very careful. And it's very important to read the fine print, the terms and conditions, and everything that comes along with student loans, so you do not have bad credit score, financial difficulties, or even worse. It's very essential and important for students and anyone of any age to be aware of everything that comes along with this. Thank you very much.